two browsers open, and I thought I couldn't find the other one, and then I started a new one, and then I had two of me. That's like having twins. Do you realize that? Hi everyone, it's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil, Amok to you. How are you? Here on my Takeout, Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. Yeah, I mean, all the big things. I mean, the actors are being joining the writers, which is good because the actors are prettier. I mean, men and women. Not only the assigned beauteous ones, but everyone else. I mean, they're going to help the strike, I think. I mean, writers who want to see the ink-stained wretches. They're not ink-stained anymore. It's all virtual. It's all digital. But no, really, now that the actors have chimed in, I understand that Sharon Stone is on the Screen Actors Guild committee that voted for the strike. Can you imagine that? Was she there? Can you imagine Sharon Stone representing you, the unionist actor? You know she'd be out there with an ice pick. You know that. So kind of excited for the strike. If you don't know, the screenwriters have been on strike, and now the Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA. Now, I am sort of an inactive member of AFTRA. It's after SAG, but I'm in you guys. You put on makeup and you're on television, but you're doing the news. We're not on the big screen, the silver screen. But see, that's just the thing. It's all different. It's all kind of like the same, comes out of the same hole, comes out of the same screen, which is, generally speaking, your phone. Everything is streaming. And the big dispute is, how are we going to split up all these profits? When things are put online, things are easily pirated, so you try to get an accounting. How do you make sure that people who should be paid are paid? And why is it that the studios have it over the writers and the performers? I mean, why should they get the biggest cut? Are they taking the biggest risk? They have nothing without the writers. They have nothing without the pretty people and the not so pretty people who just have a kind of charisma to go on screen and attract people to the screen. So I'm down with the strike. And I'm an AFTRA SAG member. Like I said, I haven't had an AFTRA job, but I'm part of the pension plan, I'm part of the union. So I'm supporting them. I just don't know what this means. If it means I shouldn't see Mission Impossible this week, or if I shouldn't see the Barbie movie next week. And I'm going to see the Barbie movie next week. People I know say, come on. Remember you suggested go see the Lego movie and what a bust that was. For me, and some other people I know, they thought that they weren't into the Lego movie. And I thought, everyone's going to see the Lego movie. And some people did, but I know. It's either your taste or not. But I have high hopes for the Barbie movie because it's not really about a doll. It's Greta Gerwig, and I've been a big Frances Ha fan from way back. So, but now that the strike's on, I'm wondering, does this mean I should just show total solidarity and not do anything Hollywood and not support, especially the big Hollywood saver, Mission Impossible? Tom Cruise is Mr. Hollywood. If it weren't for Tom Cruise, I mean, the film industry would be wiped out from the pandemic. Still playing catch up. So, not clear if it means, okay, I support this strike. I'm not going to cross the picket lines. But if I don't see a picket line at the movie theater, I guess that means it's okay. You can go see the movie. But I'm in solidarity with the writers. And if I get a sense that I can't support the studios at all, I'll just stay away. I'll stay. I'll catch the Barbie movie later. Once they get the message that everyone should be fairly paid. You know, let me just say this, that even with the union sets a floor. It doesn't set a ceiling. So it helps the people at the bottom. And in television news, I was generally with the people in the bottom. I was not one of the big stars, the big anchors. But it meant something when the people making the top money, when they recognized what the union did. The union set the floor for everyone. And because high earners, their ceiling was so high, it meant the floor was raised. So, I mean, believe me, I started my career in broadcasting in right-to-work states, right? I mean, I was making less than $3 an hour in Reno, Nevada in the 70s. Finally, got bumped up to a major market, to Dallas, Texas. Before then, I was working in Houston, Texas. This is when I first heard the term right to work. Right to work means right to be abused. In Houston, I don't think I ever made more than $2 an hour. And when I got paid $1.75, they said, "You're getting paid $1.75, Emil. We could pay $1.35. We're giving you almost 50 cents more." And, you know, I was not a big star on the radio, kind of a, smallish radio celebrity in Houston in the 70s. And I said, well, I'm only working part-time. But their comeback was always, oh, it's a right-to-work state, Houston. So, I mean, this is early in my career, right? And then I went to Reno, like I said, made like $1, never more than $1.75 on television, on air, right? Got the big call up, 1980, to go to Dallas. Dallas, big town. Once again, right to work state. So the union was not strong. After was not strong in Dallas. And I practically had to beg for $2.50 an hour. See how ridiculous that is? I mean, the studios, the people who own the means, they had it all over performers. And I include the journalists, the TV broadcast, radio broadcast journalists. And they would say, oh, you TV guys are making still more than the radio folks. That's true. We were making more than the newspaper folks. Sign of the Times back in the 80s. Of course, the big time anchors, they were making a little more, and they weren't union. It was every person for themselves. Finally, I got the call to go to San Francisco in 81, and there, a decent salary. I think, and still it wasn't tremendous like by today's standards, although today's standards are probably worse than it was back in the 80s because all the media is taking hits. But I got a respectable salary. And why? Because number one, it wasn't a right to work state. Number two, the union was there. Number three, after they hadn't merged with SAG yet, but the union made sure that if there were going to be big time anchors, the floor was going to rise for everyone, including piddly little reporters like me. So I'm pro-union. And my buddies in the union shop, the photographers, the editors, they'd always make a joke. They say, oh, yeah, we got to work with Emil. We're going to get a meal penalty. So, yeah, because, the union means, only certain people can touch certain machines. You can't work more than 8 hours. If there's a short turnaround, you're going to get, the penalty. If you work with Emil, you're going to get a penalty. That's why you need, unions. And then a funny thing happened in the 80s while I was at Cron in San Francisco. the PATCO strike, the air traffic controllers. And that was the beginning of the end for unions. I think it was like 1983, the PATCO strike. I mean, that's when you saw, oh my God, the union is weakening. And, you know, it really hasn't been the same. I mean, we've been struggling. The unions have been struggling just to regain what has been lost. This strike, the after SAG strike, along with the screenwriters, first strike in more than 40 years. Oh, 40 years? Oh, you mean going back to the PATCO strike? Yeah. That's the irony of the fact that a number of people have mentioned this, that the only person to be both the president of the Screen Actors Guild, the Actors Union, and the president of the United States, Ronald Reagan. And who was responsible for the PATCO strike, the air traffic controller strike? Ronald Reagan. So anyway, support the writers, support the actors, support the SAG members. Yeah, when I saw that, I was looking through the New York Times. They do a blow by blow of what's happening with the strike, and when they announced it a couple hours ago, they reported that Sharon Stone was on the committee. God, can you imagine Sharon Stone representing you, with her ice pick? Come on, you saw Basic Instincts, right? Come on. And I'm just imagining how she must be sitting at that table holding court. Anyway, so I'm going to find out if there's a picket line. I'm not crossing it at the theater. I don't think they're striking in the theaters, but if they are, maybe I just won't go and see Mission Impossible this week, and I won't go see Barbie. But I want to see Barbie. One of the things I did at Channel 4 at KRON, because I had a lot of leeway. I was, I did the kickers at the end of the show, and sometimes, not a lot of times, but most of the times, and so they gave me license to do things like take a doll and voice the doll. So I was doing like mini animations, sort of, with the doll and doing dialogue with the doll, a Barbie doll. I think on one of the anniversaries of Barbie, on her birthday. And, television news, it was, I don't want to say it was wilder then. I mean, it's different. Local news is local news, but it just all depends on the tone, who was boss, if you had ratings, if you didn't have ratings. But it was a freewheeling time. And so anyway, I did this story with a Barbie doll, a talking Barbie doll. And, it's fun if you were to write a script about, Barbie's birthday for the news. And then when I found out that Greta Gerwig is doing this, it's going to be different. It's going to be a little, it's going to be creative and imaginative. So I want to see the Barbie movie. And people are talking about, we're going to see a double feature, Barbie and Oppenheimer. Oh, yeah, that's a weird double feature. Let's see Barbie and the bomb, I guess, Oppenheimer. I don't know. But now I may just wait. I may just wait until they come out and say the strike's over, because we got to put pressure on these people, on the studios. Why are the studios are crying like they are hurting? I don't think they're hurt. Well, maybe. I mean, Netflix is getting upset about people sharing passwords, the sharing economy. No, they don't like that anymore. They want all their money. So, I don't know. I just want to support the writers and the actors so badly that I'm willing to just forego Hollywood. Forget about Hollywood until they settle. That's what I'd like. In the meantime, I have something for you. The Fringe Festival. It's coming to San Francisco. I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to see a Fringe, wherever you are in the country. I mean, there are Fringe festivals all over. And they're all part of this strange alliance of theater people, these festivals around the country. And the Big Daddy, of course, is in Edinburgh, which starts in August. And I know a lot of people down at the Hollywood Fringe, which is just wrapping up now. They're heading to Edinburgh next month. I'm going to do something at the San Francisco Fringe next month. I just want to tell you that you ought to check it out. It's at 277 Taylor Street in San Francisco. My show, Emil, Amok, Lost NPR host, coming August 12th, 7 p.m. That's a Saturday. Thursday, the 17th at 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, the 19th at 1 p.m. So I'm doing 3 shows. Direct, I guess you could say, look, it's not a stretch to say direct from New York, off Broadway, under St. Mark's, where I did Lost NPR host, found under St. Mark's. Now I'm doing Lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. And slightly different because, I change it for wherever I am. I make it as much about now, as much about where I am as possible, because I'm playing live, real, authentic, as well as I'm not really playing a character. So you say, Emil, are you acting? Am I acting now? I'm not acting now. I'm just talking out into my screen. And there's a little thing here. I'm talking to that person, that thing. This is why I call this a live reality talk show. And I do a kind of version of, not really. This is different. This is totally now. I do a show that I've rehearsed, I prepared. There are known laughs in the show. I mean, I call what I do investigative. I call myself an investigative humorist. Because I tell you, I had to look for those jokes. But I found them. They're there. But, because it's storytelling, it's kind of comedy and drama. Little, we're not on the treadmill. We're not on the hamster wheel of humor. The hamster wheel that says, oh, you got to laugh every 6 to 9 seconds. You know what happens. You go to a comedy show. You laugh every 6 to 9 seconds. At the end, you say, no mas. I've had enough. No mas. I mean, really, it just gets monotonous after a while. Every now and then you're begging the comic to stop. Tell us something real so we can feel something. So we can feel you. That's what my show is about. It's some laughs, but some real, authentic tragedy. I talk about life then and life now. In San Francisco, my father's story, Filipino-American history, my history, how I immigrated. Yeah, I immigrated. I was born in San Francisco and immigrated to Boston. That was a shock. And then my travels throughout the media industry, ending with an appropriate end. You'll just have to come see Lost NPR host Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. As I like to say, and other stories. A true crime tale. A true crime tale. What are you talking about, Emil? A true crime tale? Is this some kind of hook? You'll just have to come. You'll just have to come see it. San Francisco Fringe Festival. This is the alternative to Hollywood. This is democracy's alternative to Hollywood. where people just open up a mic or they find a stage and say, we're doing a show. We're telling the story of America. We are. I mean, that's what it is. So check it out. My show, Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m. Thursday, the 17th, 8:30 p.m. Saturday, the 19th at 1 p.m. 277 Taylor Street in San Francisco. Do not believe all those Fox News stories about, San Francisco is tumbling down. No, it's not tumbling down. Got reassurances today from the theater. They said, we're doing a show. And for the hour that you're inside, you're among the housed. Buy a ticket, come and watch the show, be entertained. No, it's going to be fun. It should be exciting. And it's just not my show. It's a whole entire festival of shows. Go to San Francisco Fringe Festival. You can Google them. But go get tickets. I got to tell you where to get tickets. Get tickets at amok.com. Yeah, my website. Just go. You don't transact there. You go get the link to go to Eventbrite. Click it and go. Eventbrite.com. San Francisco Fringe Festival. Emil Amok, lost NPR host. All right. So we talked about the strike. That's a big thing. That is a big thing. And I support the strike. A lot of people don't know about unions. Unions are important. But I think you got to go after the right people. In terms of who are the people who are abusing the workers? Who are the bad guys? Don't go after the good guys. Don't go after the nonprofits. Some nonprofits aren't good, but don't go after the people who are trying to do good. Go after people like Hollywood, the big studios, making money. They claim poverty, but I'm not gonna. I think I'm close. I'm 80% close to saying I'm not gonna go see any movies until they settle, because that's the ultimate leverage. And even if there's not going to be a picket sign, if there's a picket sign, I'm not crossing it. But even if there's not one, I think I'm just going to hold out and not support any Hollywood products. And I'm going to do things like the San Francisco Fringe, which is just normal people with talent out there doing a show, telling stories. All right. One thing I do my column on ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aldef.org/blog, also at inquirer.net. But I did another version for the Oakland Post. They're an African American newspaper. And I was wondering, I talk about Walt Nauta, who is the co-defendant of Donald Trump, and say, well, Walt Nauta, I talk about his colonial mentality. But for the black audience, I said, if you're having a hard time understanding colonial mentality, which is where your boss is your boss, you are, it's a psychological grip that they have you in, that where you do everything against your self-interest. Because I've been wondering, why doesn't Walt Nauta get his own attorney? Why doesn't Walt Nauta look out for himself? Because it's clear that Donald Trump isn't looking out for Walt Nauta. And so in my column in the Oakland Post, I said, I think Walt Nauta is your quintessential house Negro. Well, think about this. What made me think about it was that I'm reading Ishmael Reed's play The Conductor, where he talks about the house Negro versus the field Negro, although he uses a different N-word. Because I'm in this play, The Conductor, in New York in August. And, the field Negro is out picking Cotton, the house Negro, is in the house serving the master. And they're two different sensibilities. And then I did further research. I read Malcolm X. And Malcolm X said, hey, look, the field Negro says to the house Negro, hey, let's go out. Let's get ourselves free. And the house Negro says, hey, well, wait a minute. It's not so bad here. You know, we eat good food. We have a house, roof over our heads. Things are all right. Meanwhile, the field Negro says, we got to get out of here. Come on. And, you know, that shows the example. And then Malcolm says, what's really odd is when the master is sick, the field Negro wishes the master's dead. But the house Negro feels so bad that he wishes he were sick so the master wasn't sick. He wishes that he himself were sick. That is a kind of colonial mentality that you'll relate to if you know your African American history. There I was reading Malcolm X from his speeches. I was reading Ishmael Reed, who actually knew Malcolm X. And I'm in Ishmael Reed's play. So I thought, you know, this is a point of solidarity between our communities, between the Asian and the Black community. If you want to understand Walt Nauta and why he accepts the abuse of Donald Trump, like showing up in June and then forgetting that Walt Nauta needs a local Florida attorney to enter a plea. So Walt Nauta had to come back this month in July, and he wasn't exactly lawyered up. He had the same Trump paid for attorney, and he picked up an out-of-work public defender. Not exactly being lawyered up, right? A lawyer who doesn't know nothing about national security. And I said, why doesn't Walt Nauta act like Cassidy Hutchinson? Cassidy Nauta he could be. And Cassidy Hutchinson, she's the woman who, at the January 6th hearings, she testified. She had a Trump lawyer. She saw everything. She heard everything. She had a Trump lawyer until she realized, hey, they don't have my best interests at heart. I ought to get my own attorney. She got her own attorney, and there she is. Cassidy Hutchinson became the star witness at the January 6th hearings. And now I understand she has a new book coming out in September. Just saw that reported in Axios, and I said, Cassidy Hutchinson, no, we need Cassidy Nauta, because Walt Nauta is acting like he's in the grips of colonial mentality and being in the state of house Negro all in one. And I guess if that's his choice, if he thinks that's the best way out for him, but it's clear from what Donald Trump is doing, Donald Trump doesn't even have a defense. Donald Trump's defense is, I got to run for president and win, because if I don't, I'm going to prison. Then what does Walt Nauta do? Be Trump's private prison valet? You can bet there'll be guys lining up for that job in prison, wherever Trump goes. So, Walt, now to catch my columns on the ALDEF blog, also the Inquirer.net, and also on the Oakland Post. I like the Oakland Post. They run my stuff, and I like writing for a Black audience, because part of the idea of being in ethnic media is that cross-fertilization of ideas and sensibilities, so we know, hey, look, we're all one and the same. There is a Black, Indigenous, and people of color community. And that there are things that are relevant to all of us. You know, it's not just here's the white media, here's the Black media, here's the Asian media, here's the Latino media. We got to be open to seeing the world from our joint perspectives, because it's worth it. That's where you're going to get unity. That's where you're going to bust down the silos, not just the white silo and all the conservative silo, liberal silo. There's got to be that crossing. So there's an intersection of all those ideas and stories. And so we know we're not just walking parallel paths. All right, a couple more quick stories I want to mention. NATO. You see this? I like the Wall Street Journal because the Wall Street Journal tells me what not just white America is thinking, but corporate America, the power players, also what the Murdochs want you to see. So top of the fold, of course, inflation cools the slowest pace since 2021, which is a positive. It's like 3%. Now, some people are reluctant to say, oh, this is Bidenomics. Some people are reluctant to say, oh, this is a great thing, but it's a great thing. They're doing something right. And it used to be that 3% was all right. They wouldn't freak out at 3%. But the point is we got so bad, like 7, 8, 9% inflation, cost of eggs going skyrocketing. Although that was a good thing. You shouldn't be eating eggs. Animal products. But now it's inflation cools the slowest since 2021. Something's working. 3% used to be, like I said, it used to be considered, okay, it's higher, but it's good. 2% is what they want. And it says here, subheadline, chances grow that Fed will halt raising rates after expected increase this month. So we might be in for that soft landing. And when you see the Wall Street Journal blaring that out, that's an important thing. All right, so now here's some interesting things on the front page. Top of the fold is always, what you need to pay attention to. AT&T and Verizon knew of risk from lead cables. Well, that's a sort of like, okay, someone's going to be a watchdog, and someone's going to make people in industry aware that if you're going to put out something that's going to cause or have an impact on people's health, they're going to pay a price. So it's good that that's also considered, hey, look, corporate folks, people are watching. And you can't get away with harming. You can't get away with killing your consumers. That's the bottom line. What this is. Okay, and then the picture's worth 1,000 words, and I like this. And now the NATO thing, the headline for the NATO thing is the United States is going to back Ukraine for as long as it has to. Ukraine, Zelensky isn't getting everything he wants. He's not getting membership into NATO. But NATO is going to support him. 2 other countries are coming on strong with NATO. Sweden, for one. It's important that Europe is unified against Putin. And, this is, I spent a lot of time in New York in the East Village, which is the Ukrainian part of New York. And that's where I got a sense that, hey, people still care about this. I mean, here in California, it's like, I know at the beginning, maybe people were wearing their, yellow and blue flags. But now it's like, I don't know, people aren't thinking about Ukraine, but they need to. And the NATO summit was a good opportunity. The United States is going to do more. But the speech that Biden gave was important yesterday. But what I pulled away, what I like this picture here. You have Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of England. You got Zelensky looking really cool among the suits. Just, wearing a polo shirt. Look, I'm at war. I don't have time to put on a $2,000 suit. I mean, that's an attitude you can cop when you're fighting and holding off and even beating, the Russian army. So I like that. That's the one takeaway from the NATO meeting. Zelensky's green garb, casual. I'm just holding it up for the free world, and I'm coming here begging for help, and you're giving me a little bit. Thank you, but who's doing the heavy lifting? It's Zelensky in Ukraine. And while everyone's wearing suits, he's wearing his, they're not fatigues, but he's in his green military outfit. So that was noticeable. Then there's Biden, who, I think he gave a good speech, but someone's got to be the adult, right? I think he's not getting the kind of play he deserves for what he did at NATO, standing up for the free world, standing up to Russia, and standing up with the Europeans, saying NATO is going to be here. We're going to be strong. The free world is going to be strong together. I don't think it got the kind of play it should have, but the Wall Street Journal putting a picture up there, I think is important because no one's going to read the story. Kyiv receives assurances, but no clear path to NATO. All right, so Kyiv, Ukraine is not going to join NATO, but they're getting the backing. This is important. And the picture is important because you see Zelensky, Biden, and Rishi Sunak. Now, here's the thing about Rishi Sunak. Prime Minister. And, I'm doing this play in New York. Ishmael Reed's The Conductor, which is really about Indians and what happens when India has a mad prime minister and what happens to Indian Americans here. It's a kind of a political fantasy, but the fact that you see Rishi Sunak, a South Asian, at that NATO summit, there was something about the colonialization of India and of all those countries that gave us the opportunity to see someone like a Rishi Sunak rise. So I think it says that, okay, they did colonization right. The British to the Indians. Because there's the Indians. They got a prime minister. They got people in high places. I was watching on Netflix and Amazon, and they've got Indian shows. They got Indian people in the shows. They did colonization right. They speak with accents. Everyone thinks, oh, they're much smarter because they have English accents, those Indians. Meanwhile, the United States had the Philippines. And do you see any Filipinos up there at the level of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak? The closest one is Bobby Scott, whose grandfather was Filipino. He's part black, part Filipino. He's in the Senate, the House out of Virginia. Love Bobby Scott. He's our rep. That's why people like Rob Bonta in California, important, Attorney General. And that's why, got to keep an eye out for Bonta, because that Attorney Generalship, that's a springboard. So he'll probably be a little careful with what he does. I don't know, but he's going places. Finally. So, but really, is there any, like Philippines, first colony of the United States, are there any Filipinos, Filipino Americans? I guess on screen, okay, there was a big story about Olivia Rodrigo, cover of Vogue. That's a big deal. Half Filipino. And then there's a young woman, forget her name offhand, half Filipino again. She's in the Barbie movie. So there are a lot of Filipino actors and actresses, but you don't really think of them as Filipino. Bruno Mars, right? He's like the biggest. And then, of course, there's Joe Coy. You see his Netflix specials. But, yeah, I'm just watching or seeing that picture I'm holding up my Wall Street Journal, of Rishi Sunak and Zelensky and Biden. Colonization worked out for the Indians. Didn't do much for the Filipinos. Well, I mean, and I say that kind of half jokingly. I don't really know if it worked out for the Indians. But they had Rishi Sunak in a prime position in British politics. Says something. Okay, a couple other things. New York Times. You know, they put, they downplay on the left side the Biden story in NATO because, you know, he gave a good speech. And, but, you know, there's no buzz about NATO, I guess is my point. They put a graph about inflation, so that's good. That's all top of the fold. The bottom of the fold had a story that I think is interesting. And it's about Milan Kundera. He died. He was 94. Milan Kundera, the Communist Party outcast who became a global literary star with mordant sexually charged novels that captured the suffocating absurdity of life in the workers' paradise of his native Czechoslovakia. Died on Tuesday in Paris. He was 94. You know, I liked Milan Kundera. I remember, you know, he's the author of Unbearable Lightness of Being. The headline, Unbearable Lightness author gave comical flair to despair. Well, that's a nice headline. And I remember reading Unbearable Lightness of Being. I reread the first 10 chapters yesterday real quick when I found out that he had died. Fascinating. I think more fascinating. The book is more fascinating than the movie, which I saw back in the 80s. Date night film, which was, you know, good date night film. A lot of sex in it. I mean, it's not like Body Heat. Kathleen Turner, William Hurt, the late William Hurt. That was a good date night film. But there was enough sex in The Unbearable. That's not the reason why you watch it. But I forgot that Unbearable Lightness of Being had this Bay Area connection. Saul Zaentz, the late, I think he's the late Saul Zaentz, producer of Amadeus. He was the big producer of this film, Fantasy Films. Philip Kaufman, Bay Area director. I liked a lot of his work, Philip Kaufman. Look him up. Look at his IMDb. And then here's an ironic thing. The film, Unbearable Lightness of Being, starred Daniel Day-Lewis, and this obit in the New York Times was written by Daniel Lewis. So the My Left Foot guy, and maybe this is the My Right Index Finger guy. Daniel Lewis. And actually a good obit. But it's funny, as much as I liked the film, I liked the film back when. I started to watch a little bit of it late last night. I had to find it. It was on, you can find it on YouTube. And I was with it for a while, but the film does not capture the feeling that the book had. There's still some, and this is the thing about Kundera. He, like, I was reading it on Kindle because I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for I have a copy somewhere in my vast archive, but I didn't want to go looking for it. I know I have it somewhere. I have the hardback. But I got the Kindle and I started reading it. And Kundera was against digital. He was against screens. He wanted things to be on paper. He was really old school. And he issued the media and a recluse. And maybe, maybe that's the right way. Maybe that's just the right way. Because here, 94, we're talking about him, and his book will sell. People will do what I did, go to Kindle or go to Amazon, buy his book. The Unbearable Lightness of Being, and reading the first 10 chapters again. It's got like 100 chapters. I got to finish it, but I got a sense of it, a better sense of it, reading it than I did watching the movie. And it's fascinating. It's enriching. And we don't, I guess, are you reading? Still reading? Are you looking at screens? He was anti-screen. Well, he died this year, but he was like living a life of a recluse in Paris. Anyway, rest in peace, Milan Kundera. Okay, a couple of things. I was going to talk about the Barbie movie, if I was going to watch that or Mission Impossible. But really, I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Until this is cleared up, the strike, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So, one of the things that I have here, I subscribe to this newsletter. James Clear, 321 Thursday. It's been said, the most wisdom per word of any newsletter on the web. So he does 3 ideas, 2 quotes, and 1 question to consider for the week. Now here's one idea. This is from James Clear. Excitement is a better motivator than discipline. The people who appear to have an exceptional work ethic or remarkable discipline are often those with a genuine curiosity or interest in that area. The person who smiles is more likely to keep working than the person gritting their teeth. Oh, wow. That hit me today. You got to make things fun. You can grit your teeth and say, I got grit. I'm going to overcome. I've got resilience. But it better be fun resilience. Because I think there's something to excitement is a better motivator than discipline. I can bear down. If you smile, if you laugh, if you have a general curiosity about stuff, that'll help propel you more than just, I'm going to grit my teeth. I'm going to get there. Here's thought 2. This is from James Clear. Writing is one of the only ways to outlive yourself. I think Milan Kundera knew that. People still read books from hundreds or even thousands of years ago. The Bible? The author's physical life ended long ago, but their mental life remains alive and meaningful even today. Which is why a physical thing is right, but I think you're going to live on if there's something in the digital world. I think everyone's going to have unlimited storage, right? Where was that Emil Amok column from 2012? Got to find that. And the third idea, James Clear. The question is not, will today be a good day? Every day is a good day. The question is, how much good will you get out of the day? It's funny. I start early every day, 5 o'clock. I'm up there. I'm thinking. I felt good today, and usually I get up at 5, mostly because I don't sleep very well. But there is something to how much good can you get out of today? Sometimes it's just Gotta let it happen. You got to spend a lot of time wakeful, mindful, noticing. And, oh, I missed that email. Oh, I missed that message. But you'll get it. Here's some quotes from others that he provided. Now, this is a tricky one. This is from Professor of Philosophy and Cognitive Science, L.A. Paul. Offers a new lens for thinking about important life choices from Transformative Experience, the book. Quote, as we live our lives, we find ourselves confronted with a brute fact about how little we can know about our futures, just when it is most important to us that we do know. As we live our lives, we find ourselves confronted with a brute fact about how little we can know about our futures. We don't know the futures. Just when it's the most important to us that we do know. We need to know. How do we know? How do we know to go forward? For many big life choices, we only learn what we need to know after we've done it. So like the realization, because I did it this way, that's why it happened this way. After the fact, we understand. We learned the lesson. When we went into it, we didn't know. And we change ourselves in the process of doing it. So in doing it, in doing the thing, we change. But we didn't know before we did it. It's like we decided that, it's almost like we decided what the heck we're going to do it. And then we transformed while we did it. And then it's looking back, we say, God, I didn't know jack about what I was doing, but look what happened. I learned something about myself. So this guy, L.A. Paul, says, I'll argue that in the end, the best response to this situation is to choose based on whether we want to discover who we'll become. You curious? Wow. I mean, think about that. If you're at a juncture and you don't want to know who you are to become, you're not curious enough, then you don't do it. You say, hey, just hang back here, just stay here. You know how much I like change or something, right? But if you want to discover who you'll become, you just do it. You say, I don't know where the goal is. I hope I know where the goal is. I think that's where I want to go, but once we do it, we'll find out on the way. This is definitely, as we are in transition, we will find out. And we will know, and we'll say, yeah, I like it. I like it. And we'll just keep going. Or you say, oh, no, I hate it. I hate this. I got to turn back. I mean, I don't know what it is, but you find out as you do it. And isn't that the truth, that we don't know what's ahead? We don't know what's going to happen once we make a choice. But once we do, the impact of the choice is immediate, and we adjust and we try to figure out where we are. We change ourselves in the process of becoming. And it's like, is it the thing, when the thing changes, Fantastic Four, it changes from the doctor to the thing, you transform. Okay, maybe that's a bad reference. But I mean, the idea is you don't know. You're at this crossroads. You say, I can just stay here, or I can go forward. Are you curious enough to find out? Because we don't know what's up there. We don't know what's ahead. But if you want to find out, if you want to discover what we'll become, then yeah. See, that's living, right? That is living. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to climb Everest. It doesn't mean you're going to do, you know, you're not going to meet Tom Cruise or Charlize Theron or, you know, whoever you idolize or fantasize or. But if you're curious about becoming, you just move forward and act in the present to what's going on now. I think that's the best you could do. It's called life. Anyway, that's from James Clear's 321. If you enjoyed that, check it out. James Clear, I think it's jamesclear.com. At jamesclear.com. Oh, and the one question, what small step can you take today that will put you on the path towards something wonderful? It's always just a small step, right? It's never the big ones. It's never the giant. It's just a small step. Think about that. Just one small step. I mean, like yesterday, I took the small step of not doing a show yesterday. So this is show 556. And I just repeated 5. I said, throw it out there in the ether. But if you're here with us today, thank you. Thank you for being here. Emil Guillermo, we're here Monday through Friday. We're often than not live. 2 p.m. Pacific. We talk about the news, talk about stuff. We are in the act of becoming. Hey, don't forget the Frigid Fringe. Go to amok.com. Go to my website. Not only can you catch repeats of shows like this one, you can also get a link to the tickets that of the show that I'm doing at the Frigid Fringe, Lost NPR. Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. Saturday, August 12th, Thursday, August 17th, and Saturday, August 19th, all different times. On the 12th at 7 p.m., the 17th at 8:30 p.m., and Saturday, the 19th at 1 p.m. So do check it out. 277 Taylor Street. Go to amok.com. Get your tickets today. You should, because I don't. There aren't that many tickets. There just aren't per show. And but check them out. 277 Taylor Street. All right. You can watch his show, on YouTube at Emil Amok 1 on YouTube. On Twitter at Emil Amok, EMILAMOK. On Facebook at fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. And of course, the aforementioned amok.com. You can catch our replays. A big happy birthday to Manong Verhil. He is, man, those Filipinos, you don't start looking middle-aged until you hit your 80s. And he's not there yet, but still going strong. Still going. Happy birthday to Verhil. Manong Verhil. And that's it for our show today. Hey, look, back again tomorrow. I like to meditate. The loving kindness meditation. You put it out there. There's path of fear, path of love. You choose one. Don't choose fear. Fear, that's the, I'm a victim. People hate me. They don't like me. That's the path of ego. You go the good ego. Love. You share love. You show it, share it, comes back twofold. That's the direction you go in. Say these little chants. You feel better. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.